Darcy Davis Beghein, 2008 ordained Coptic minister, and she's a teacher, a musician, life coach, combining her study of world philosophies, Coptic training, and practices of mind-body spirit connection. Darcy teaches the invisible side of success, alignment with the universal laws, and for over 30 years, she has worked as a teacher, spiritual speaker, a workshop leader, and a wonderful singer with her CDs that she has available for you as well. She currently teaches music, choir, and musical theater to 3rd through 8th graders in Goodyear, Arizona. And whether teaching or coaching, she empowers others to manifest their dreams through transformative thinking and decisive action. Darcy's experiential, fun teaching style invites people to ignite their passion, powerful and purposeful living. Ease, with a capital E, into an inspired life is her topic tonight, and we look forward to that.
Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. I know you probably thought that came from the end of a Green Day song, the song Closing Time. However, it was actually written by the philosopher Seneca. I am now on the precipice of an ending, being given an opportunity to leap into a new beginning. In 1 month and 3 days, I will be retiring from a long classroom teaching career. When I started on this journey as a young woman, I didn't really think that I'd teach in the classroom this long. It took me many years to fully step into the identity of being a teacher, to own the fact that I have a teacher's heart and I am skilled at teaching others. As I became more comfortable with the idea of moving on, I remembered the words of author Hermann Hesse. There is a miracle in every new beginning. Teaching 3rd through 8th grade music, choir, and musical theater has been a busy endeavor for me these last 2 years. I decided that I wanted to lay the groundwork for more awareness of miracles unfolding in my life. I do believe it is up to me to be intentional with this life transition and step more fully into an inspired life. I have the chance to write the next chapter of my story. You have that opportunity as well. You don't need to be retiring or changing jobs or moving to a new community. You and I can start wherever we are, whenever we desire. Anyone who knows me well knows that I love to play with words. One of my teaching techniques is to create a framework and structure that is easy to remember, a system that is practical and reliable and relatable. Ease into an inspired life is the name of my talk. And if you saw how I spelled the title, you would see that the E is just a capital E apostrophe S, ease, not E-A-S-E, although they can kind of be interchangeable. This idea popped into my head and I decided to run with it. It makes me think of the song from the musical The Wiz as they ease on down the road. You've got to ease on down the road. Wayne Dyer said, there's a voice in the universe entreating us to remember our purpose. A reason for being is now in this world of impermanence. The voice whispers, shouts, and sings to us that this experience of being in form and space and time has meaning. That voice belongs to inspiration, which is within each and every one of us. The fact that you are here and listening to this talk suggests that you are yearning for inspiration on your journey. You too long to spend that time in meaningful ways, growing, learning, reconnecting with the divine. Inspired living is a choice. One we can cultivate and nurture within ourselves. It is our birthright as spiritual beings. It is God's good pleasure to see us live each day with intentionality, to live more fully into our oneness and divine essence. I would like to share my process with you, the steps I have used to heighten my level of inspired being and living. The first E, expect. Over the years, I've come to expect the best outcome. I've always loved Einstein's quotes. There are only two ways to live your life. One as though nothing is a miracle, and the other as though everything is a miracle. I know that life is full of surprises. Sometimes we endure heartaches and hardships that throw us off course and even test our faith. I'm sure many of us have experienced this at times throughout this pandemic. I've lived enough life to realize that it takes grit and fortitude to keep an attitude of positive expectancy when life shows up in painful ways. Maintaining that buoyant expectancy of good takes commitment and intention, especially during times of stress and undesirable circumstances. I've lived through times when I thought if I expected little or nothing from a person or situation, it would minimize the possibility of being hurt. It didn't take me long to realize that expecting nothing gave me precisely that, nothing. I have decided that risking disappointment is better than expecting nothing from a situation. I would venture to say that expecting a positive outcome aligns me with that positivity. And then I'm much more likely to see the beauty of a silver lining if things turned out differently than I hoped. As the hymn says, open my eyes that I may see. Expect to find goodness, and it is found. At times, those who have observed my expect a miracle attitude accuse me of having an idyllic life, that I always land on my feet. My response to that is this: we all have challenges in life. We all are touched by disappointment, betrayal, and even death. No one gets through this life without experiencing some of the human condition. And yet, we always have the choice as to how we approach these heartaches. I found that when I expect the best, I connect with that energy and I see the miracles unfold in the harshest lessons in life. I choose to expect good outcomes. And even when the world might judge something that happens to me as sad or challenging, I know I have the ultimate say in how I color what happens to me. Some of my biggest heartaches have often led to my biggest spiritual breakthroughs and lessons. Is this news to you? Of course not. You all know this. And as I remind myself of this important step, I gently remind you. Enthuse is the next E. The next stepping stone on this path to inspired living is the sister of high expectations, and that's enthusiasm. I love this word, and it is an emotion that Hamid Bey often references in the Coptic teachings. When I combine a feeling of expectancy with enthusiasm, I feel unstoppable. The word enthusiasm is borrowed from the Greek enthusiasmos, meaning inspiration or possession by a god. Originally, it was used to describe passion for one's religious beliefs, but eventually it made its way into a more secular matter to describe strong feelings of emotion. Hamid Bey said this: keen, independent enthusiasm expresses spiritual feeling. If you really want to be enthusiastic. This can open the door to the inflow of enthusiasm and the awareness that boredom can be replaced by the keys to life, excitement, and enthusiasm, if you change your attitude of mind. When you live fully into the life state of enthusiasm, you evoke its energy. Think about it. You can't be enthused and meh at the same time. Shifting into enthusiastic fervor about your goals and your dreams quickly elevates you from the shades of gray to technicolor rainbows. You cannot help but see and feel things differently when enthusiasm is a ready companion on your path. Engage. Inspired living calls us to engage. A Tibetan proverb reminds us, if you want to know your future, look at what you're doing in this moment. What is your personal plan of engagement? Make a daily commitment to your spiritual health and growth. Engage in spiritual practices that speak to you. Meditate, journal, read, and listen to uplifting messages and music that feed your soul. Who are the people with whom you engage? What are the activities and practices with which you engage? That adage of you are the company you keep has some truth to it. It's all connected. That's why we often gravitate towards people of like minds. However, anyone you will ever meet knows something you don't know. Be open to the possibilities of engaging with others, even if these are people who are not like-minded. Listen for new perspectives. When we engage in our beautiful, inspired lives, we not only knock on the door of opportunity, we open it wide and see a whole new landscape of learning possibilities. I've been thrilled time and time again when I followed an inspired nudge to engage with someone new. When I'm guided to release my inhibitions and try something new, despite the fear I'll feel foolish, flounder, or maybe even fail on my attempts. My engagement is often rewarded in some surprising way. Earth is the relationship planet. Engage others, share your ideas, and listen to others' ideas. Try something new. Engage with life, and life will engage you. Japanese writer and Buddhist philosopher Aikida reminds us that human beings need to be with other human beings. Engagement with others forges our character and enriches us. Embrace your authentic self. Thoreau said, "We are constantly invited to be who we are." So who are we? When asked that question, what answer pops up first in your mind? Do you go to husband, wife, friend, sister, brother, daughter, son? Or do you immediately identify with your spiritual lineage? We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Most of us have heard these words from the French philosopher Desjardins, and it is so true. It reminds me of a story I once heard about a little boy who had a brand new baby sister. He kept on wanting to spend time alone with his newborn sister. The young boy was so focused on getting alone time with the new baby that his parents were cautiously curious why he wanted to be alone with her. But they kept making sure that one of them was always with him when he saw his sister. One night, they found their son in the baby's room next to the crib. They stood by the open door and listened to what the boy was saying to his sister. As he reached his finger through the bars of the crib, his little sister grabbed his finger and held on, and his face got close up to hers. And he said, "I need to ask you about God because I'm beginning to forget." I love that story. It kind of brings tears to my eyes. It reminds me of how innocently we enter into this world, so fresh from God and our spiritual heritage. I remember my oldest daughter saying at a young age, Remember when we all had different faces and I was the mom and you were the little girl and you sat on my lap and I painted your fingernails red? This was her childlike explanation of reincarnation. And we had many conversations around that. Then there was my oldest daughter, my youngest daughter, who, when I went outside to check on her, she was sitting in the sandbox where she had created this medicine wheel out of rocks. How did my daughters know these things? I believe that they were speaking from their truth and their spiritual connection. Unencumbered by the weight of the world, they easily connected to the essence of God. Children hold so much wisdom about their true nature, about their connection to the divine. I think that's why I've been so attracted to teaching them all these years. I do believe that's why my career with children has been so important to me. And at the risk of dating myself, Art Linkletter said, kids say the darndest things. And it's so true. If you have the ears to hear what they share, you can get glimpses of the nature of the spirit working through them. I found it fascinating. And I'm sure that you all have your own stories of things that youngsters have said that surprised you. Sadly, these sparks of God's wisdom tend to get taught out of us as we grow up, unless we have parents or close ones who know how to nurture this in us to help us grow in our spirituality. Because when we grow, we find our spiritual pathways in which we resonate, like the Coptic Fellowship, church affiliations, or spiritual groups such as A Course in Miracles. I believe we are ever looking for that feeling of home that we have when we acknowledge our spiritual roots and embrace our spiritual power. Prayer, meditation, service, and spiritual studies are just some of the ways that we can feed the flames of spiritual knowledge and ever expand into that best version of ourselves. We can take our cues from nature to ever strive to grow and develop and seek the light. Here in the mountainous parts of the state, my adoptive state of Arizona, I always marvel when I see a small tree or bush that seems to just be growing out of a rocky crevice. That's the kind of determination with which we're born to live, even if we find ourselves between a rock and a hard place. The final E in this lesson towards your inspired life is to evolve. We're meant to be lifelong learners, to experience this world that we call home and gain insight from the life lessons that we have chosen. And yes, even the lessons that have chosen us, keeping an open heart and mind. Choose daily practices that strengthen your spiritual evolution. Paramahansa Yogananda said, change yourself, and you have done your part in changing the world. All we really have to affect change in our world, change in our own hearts and minds, is the willingness to change and evolve ourselves. I believe we're called to work on whatever path brings us closer to realizing our humanity and our spiritual lineage. With an open heart and mind, we raise our consciousness as we strengthen the connection with our creative essence and ideas. Guidance and the willingness to pursue our dreams then begins to take shape. When we decide to walk the path of our spiritual masters and to step more fully into a conscious mode of living, the roots that we need to, the tools that we need to be revealed will make themselves known. This is not the occasional thing here or there that we fit in when it's convenient or only when we are desperate for answers. It takes commitment and spiritual grit to lead an inspired life. It takes a willingness and an openness to be more of who we have come to be in this lifetime. Years ago, I was in a book club with some new friends, and we were studying Wayne Dyer's Power of Intention. The women in this group were fully living their intentions. I, on the other hand, was new to the small community, having left Grand Rapids and moved to the Thumb area of Michigan. I had moved there on the heels of many personal losses. I was grateful for this group of strong women, and yet I found myself feeling small and rather lost in their presence. I realized that I was having difficulty formulating my intentions. I realized I was afraid to declare new intentions because I thought I had gotten it all wrong so many times. And I didn't trust myself. I was a bit paralyzed. My fears were keeping me stuck. So one day I thought, this is ridiculous. I decided I would try the japa meditation that Dyer suggested in his book. It's a powerful technique that uses the chanting sound of ah, which Dyer explains as the vibrational sound of the names of the great spiritual masters: Yeshua, Yahweh, Allah, Kuan Yin, Krishna, Buddha. Dyer prescribed a 20-minute session in which you sit in a meditative stance, set an intention and focus on your breath, and begin chanting the ah. Well, after some time, I decided that I needed an intention that I truly believed for this to be effective. It occurred to me that I would feel more comfortable if my intention was broader than something like wishing for a new house or a new job. I set my intention to be open and willing. That felt comfortable to me. I thought, okay, I can attend that with some integrity, and it felt safe. So I decided that would be my intention. It resonated. It felt safe. And so I began. By stating this intention and beginning the ah chant, I quickly surrendered and received an amazing message from that session. By taking a chance, I was catapulted into a deeper understanding of myself that set me on a course of accelerated spiritual expansion during that time. I believe we are all being called to live our uniquely inspired life that aligns with our dreams, so we can work with our creative nature and fully live our purpose and expand our potential. As I said before, I personally am ready for another leap in my life. I recently became acquainted with the Kaizen way, a Japanese system of small goals and steps. Robert Maurer, PhD, explains in his book, One Small Step Can Change Your Life, that when we approach any big change or departure from our usual behavior, we trigger the amygdala's fight or flight response. The brain shorts out higher thinking in favor of basic survival. He goes on to say that when we take tiny actions, they slip past the brain's radar. Non-threatening actions help us move forward without fear. When our fear isn't triggered, we have access to our rational minds. This made so much sense to me, and it explains a lot about stuck behavior previously, when I felt in the past that when changes came and I was stuck and couldn't move forward. So you have been given this life. You've been given authority of free will to make what you will of this precious life. As you ease into your inspired life and live the heartfelt life of your dreams, remember, expect, enthuse, engage, embrace, evolve. Expect the best and plant those seeds of positivity on your path. Enthuse yourself. Enthusiasm is the key to raising your energy, your consciousness, and your willingness to pursue your dreams. Engage with people and practices that elevate your inspiration and creativity. Embrace your authentic self and remember who you are, a spark of the divine. Evolve continually. Learn, grow, explore, try something new. Keep yourself young and flexible by living with the intention of inspired evolution. Use these E's and ease into an inspired life. Don't merely knock on the door, swing it wide open and step into the life of your dreams and aspirations and claim a life that you truly love living. Thank you so much for being here. It's been my pleasure.